Hello students, so here we are meeting in the second part of the vendor management lecture. So in the first part of the lecture we have discussed uh, about the providers and strategic partners basically. So I have discussed also another concept, one-time vendors. So that is for your information. So when we look at the theoretical aspects, so we need to know who are providers and who are the strategic partners, and based on which criteria you are going to assess the providers and strategic partners. Their difference, you are in a position to compare and contrast the providers and the strategic partners. Now we are going to look at the key vendor considerations. So when we talk about key vendor considerations, we are going to talk about, so here, now we are in lecture slide number 6. So under key vendor consideration, we are going to discuss about, wait, technical considerations, operational considerations, financial considerations, contractual considerations, measurable considerations, transitional considerations, correctable considerations, and these are the things that we are going to discuss in the in the key considerations when it comes to vendors. So you have to think about the key vendor considerations. These are the considerations that you have to consider when you are going to choose a particular vendor. So there are some general criteria. So if it is the technical aspect, the criteria that you would look into would be, so here we are in this slide. So the general criteria would be, can the particular vendor perform the task that we are expecting the particular vendor to perform? And do they have any plans to improve the product or service, and is there any potential for the expanded features? So here, for example, we know that in most of the companies, the HRIS, the Human Resource Information System, is uh, it's uh, it's outsourced. So we are taking the support from a vendor. Suppose that we are talking about the HRIS or Human Resource Information System. So to which extent that particular system has the ability to perform what is expected by the company. So we might need to keep the database of the employees. We might need to, that through the system the employees might be able to apply the leaves, and through the information system we should be able to see the performance according to the mentors, and likewise we are expecting certain things. So to which extent the vendor is in a position to give us that particular value? So are they in a position to perform the task that is expected by us? So that is meant by, can they perform the task? And do they have any plans to improve product or service? Suppose that currently in the current human resource information system that we have installed in that we are going to purchase from a particular vendor is not currently having the leave application process inculcated in the system. So are they in the process of improving their system and having that particular attribute inculcated in the particular system? So that is what is meant by, do they have any plans to improve the product or service? So is there potential for expanded service, expanded features? So if there are in the future there might be new features coming up. So with the we never know. So in the future, in the human resource information system, we might be able to do everything within the system, the appraisal process and everything. So are the particular vendors in a position to achieve that particular expanded features in the, do they have the enough potential? So that is another key consideration that we have to look into in the technical aspect when we are choosing a vendor. Is it clear? Okay, the second one is operational. So in operational, the general criteria what we look into would be, read what is there in the slide: the ability to deliver, capacity to meet the SLA, and ability to expedite, product if needed, issue resolution process, and scalability. So here, the ability to deliver, I'm not going to explain you what is meant by ability to deliver. It just means that whether they are in a position to deliver the particular ordered product on time within the time limit given. So, and the capacity to meet SLA, so this I'm going to discuss in a little detail, because in the earlier video also I told you I'm going to discuss it in detail. Because of that reason I have skipped the SLA concept in the initial video, but now I'm going to discuss in detail what is meant by SLA. So the capacity to meet SLA simply means that in SLA, the SLA is the abbreviated form, so you have to note it down. SLA means the service level agreement. So what is meant by service level agreement is that in that particular agreement, it defines the level of service that we expect from a vendor. So what is expected from a vendor, and the other way around also, uh, what the vendor is expecting from us, they would be having a service level agreement, and we are going to have a service level agreement as to this is what is expected from you. Clear? And laying out the matrix by which service is measured. So these are the things that we expect from you, and we are going to lay down the matrix. Otherwise, there are no possibility for us to measure what is, there is no possibility for us to measure it. Okay, so when you are laying down the service level agreement, you need to have the matrix and the relevant measurement indicated in the service level agreement, as well as remedies or penalties should agreed on service level not be achieved. So in case if the vendor is unable to achieve what is expected from us, what would be the penalty? So what would be the remedy that is initially, that should be there in the initial service level agreement. So we are going to come into an agreement, this is what is expected, this is how we are going to measure it. In case if you are not able to measure it, these would be the penalties and these would be the corrective actions that we are going to undertake. So this is a very critical component. This service level agreement is really critical, especially when it comes to the technology vendor contract. Okay, for the other vendor contracts also it's important, but when it comes to the technology vendor contract, it's extremely important. I hope it's understood. And so the issues and resolution process, so if you are going to encounter an issue, how we are going to overcome it, what are the steps that you are going to undertake. So those things we look into when it comes to the operational aspect of vendor considerations. And what is meant by scalability is that when it comes to scalability, so if the production is going to get increased at once, with respect to that you need to have the raw material. So with, does that particular vendor has the ability to meet the relevant quantity? So the scalability and the ability, so that should be there. So I hope this operational considerations is clear for you. Make a note of the SLA that I have described earlier. Okay, and now we are going to move into the next aspect. So the next aspect is that financial aspect, which is extremely important. So in financial aspect, read what is there in the slide. Okay, so did you all read what is there in the slide? So it says the general criteria that you would look into when it comes to the key consideration of financial aspects would be the general financial stability, company longevity, organizational structure, R&D commitment by percentage, and etc. So when we look at these points, so the company longevity is that to which how long the company has been existed, when the company has been existed. So that matters to us because it tells us about the stability of the company. So if the company is going to get disappeared at once, we are going to be in trouble as a company. Okay, and also it matters the general financial stability of the companies important for us. So if the company is that we are going to deal with, the vendor company is not in a financially stable position, that means again there is a instability with regards to the existence of the company. And also you have to be very mindful whether the company is in a process of being brought out. Is it going to get acquired by another company? So if it is going to get acquired by another company, and if the culture of that particular company is not meeting the culture of our company, again there would be certain pains coming in. So there would be contradictions with regards to the top management decisions and everything coming in if you are not being mindful whether the company is in the position to being bought out. Okay. R&D commitment. So when it comes to the R&D commitment by percentage, so earlier also in the initial video also I told you that R&D commitment is important. So what it means is that to which percentage the revenue has been reinvested for the R&D purposes. And also the reason is because the vendors, there are some vendors who thinks that all right, this product we are going to keep it as a cash cow product, we are not going to make any further improvements to the product. Once it's get expired, we are going to eliminate the product from the product range. So if it's a product like this, if there are no improvements to get, if the particular product is not going to get improved, so it would be a disadvantage for us as customers. All right, so these are the things that you have to look into when we talk about the financial aspect, the key vendor considerations of financial aspect. Is it clear? Okay, and now we are going to discuss about the contractual aspect when it comes to the key vendor consideration. So it says, so read what is there in the slide.